Well, for us, it doesn't get much bigger or better than this. I think it's a great opportunity for our team and challenge ourselves against one of the premier programs in the country. But besides that, I think for our fans, I've played a lot of people and we play anybody, any place, any time, but we don't always get to play them at home and home. And that's something that I can honestly say I don't like about the way college basketball is going, as far as it seems like all the big games are at neutral sites, and I guess there's some good to that, but there's some bad to that. And the bad is that fans that are so loyal deserve to have some of the best teams here, and I think it's cool for us to go some of the best places. So it's going to happen tomorrow night, and that's going to be exciting. Like our team, I think they're trying to find themselves a little bit. If you look at Duke, we have similar situations. I mean, we have some veterans. They have a few veterans. Their best player, of course, is either Trey Jones or Vernon Carey, and both of them are playing pretty well. But then they're trying to find themselves with the rest of their guys. And with the youth of Carey and Hurt and Moore, they also have a lot of experience back. I mean, O'Connell has played very good. I think he's a junior. Delurier and White are juniors and seniors, I believe. And of course, Jones is a sophomore that's got a lot of years under his belt as far as experience and playing time. You're going to see one of the best matchups between two of the better point guards in the country, in Cassius and Trey. So that'll be exciting for people. As I said, it is great for our fans, and I think the atmosphere will be off the charts. I told our team yesterday that, again, there's certain reasons you go to certain schools, and I think one of the reasons you come here is you get a chance to play in these kind of games. That's what everybody wants. As far as our team goes, I was happy we bounced back after the Virginia Tech game. I don't look at that game as quite as negative. We're trying to find ourselves as a team, where we're one of those teams that had some of the most experience in the country. That has kind of changed drastically, and mostly because of the 32 minutes of Josh Langford. But, also going into the season, at least for the last month of the preseason, we had hoped to have Joey Hauser in fold too, which means we would have more experienced players. Now, we're left with a lot more inexperienced players, and as I said, they're in a similar position, but they're used to it. We're not. And but I'm happy the way we bounced back. We really played very well against Georgia for 2/3 of the game, and pretty well against UCLA when you look at their talent out there and their size, and coming off what we've come off, and understanding where we are as a team right now with a ways to go. I think a big key to tomorrow's game will be the turnovers. They turn people over a lot. They got Kansas for 28. They've had another team 22, 21, 16. I think they're averaging 17 or 18 or 20 turnovers a game that they're causing. Now they are turning it over a little bit more for a Duke team, but I think that is because of some youth in the lineup. As I said last week, we're still going through a lot. I mean, we just are. It's the way it is. And we're trying to find our way and pull together. Cassius has been incredible when you think of what he's been through, but I thought yesterday was his first practice that he was really, I thought he had one of his best practices in 3 weeks. And, that is going to continue. I mean, it's not going to change overnight. He's got to be one of the guys to lead a lot of our young guys that we're playing. It's hard to do that under certain circumstances. So he's been fighting through. He's really done some incredible things under those circumstances. And then to make the matters a little more clouded tomorrow in a positive way will be Draymond's retirement of his jersey. I think we've got 3/4 of Saginaw and half of Oakland coming to the game, and I had to remind Draymond that we play this game in an arena, not in a football stadium. But then again, what a cool thing that there's media. I think some of the coaches are coming. Just a great night for him, and many players get this honor. You know, not many players get it, but of the 10 that have had it, you know, what separates Draymond a little bit is, you know, like a couple of those guys, like Magic or like Steve or like, you know, Mateen. Those guys are constantly coming back to the program and constantly being around, and Draymond's meant a lot to us in a lot of different ways, but he kind of embodies the toughness and what we're looking for in our program. And I just, I'm tickled to death for him. And what I'm really thrilled about is he's so excited about this. It's funny. I mean, he's planning half the event, and pretty cool, because I really don't have time to, so I'm happy that he's doing it. So all in all, you know, we're going to focus on the game, and then Draymond's going to focus on probably the game too, and then him at halftime and after. And so I'll open it up to some questions. If I relished in it, I'd be playing in awe of them. I'm not doing that, and I'm not. I relish the opportunity that our team gets. I relish the opportunity that our fans get. I think our fans deserve to have the best of the best here. You know, if I can schedule Duke and Michigan State or Kansas or Carolina or Kentucky home and homes like we used to do, I'd love to do it. But it doesn't work out that way, so this gives them an opportunity. And as much as I love our fans, as much as I appreciate Duke, you know, being here, don't ever put the Elite Eight and a regular season game in the same breath, or I will have to rip you, because they're not the same. You know, they're completely different. And if I could lose 5 home games and win an Elite Eight game that gets you to the Final Four, I'll take it every year, no matter who I lose to at home.
Fred Totter well with that two-part question, so I'm going to ask one in his honor too. So, but it's both about Tillman. You know, first of all, I'd imagine he's going to match up with Carey, and I guess what defensively you saw from him maybe against Zion that he can carry into this against Vernon. And the second part of it is back to what you were saying about likening him to Draymond. How much did you see of that in him when you recruited him? I mean, could you see a younger version of Draymond?
I could, because one was 280 and one was 275, so I saw that in him. You know, Xavier's got a ways to go to get to Draymond, but he's got Draymond characteristics. He's lost a lot of weight, he's changed his body, he is a very smart defensive player. I think with his next step in his progression is be his offensive aggressiveness, confidence. He's worked hard on his shot. He shoots the ball better than you think. Draymond had a knack around the basket. He had a toughness to him and a confidence to him that X is working on right now. So I don't want anybody to think I'm putting pressure on X to beat Draymond, but there are qualities in him. And remember, after 2 years, you know, where Draymond was, and remember where X is. And in that respect, it's similar. Now, as far as guarding Zion or guarding Vernon, 2 different players, you know. I mean, one's going to spend most of his time inside, and one's spend most of his time everywhere, including in the sky, you know. So they're 2 different players, and I think, you know, both cause tremendous problems. I mean, I think they've done an incredible job with Vernon Carey, a guy that if you watched the AU games and that, lived on the outside, shot the ball, and he can shoot the 3, but he kind of was all over. And now they've got him on that block, and he has been hard to defend down there. He's been very, very efficient. So I give the credit to Mike, his staff, and to Vernon for understanding where he could be the most efficient, and they're using him in that category. And he's getting to the free throw line I want to say 7-8 times a game. So fouls, turnovers will be a big part of this game.
Brendan, last question.
Last year, as you guys went more and more heavy on the ball screen offensively, it seemed like you were kind of reacting more in real time to how teams were defending it, throwing different things at you, especially with Cassius having the ball in his hand so much. How much are you still able to be caught, maybe off guard or whatever it might be, by how teams are defending the ball screen, and how much do you like him off the ball when you move?
That's a great question because we want to get him off the ball some, take less of the drain on him, but the last 3 weeks, we just haven't been able to spend time on some of those things as I would like to have. But that, we have adjusted pretty good to different ways people guard him. Xavier's very good at flipping things and doing some different things on that. I think we're pretty well versed on that. A couple of those games out there, we put different guys at the point, and we used him as a screener coming off screens. I think we're going to see us moving Cash around more and more as he gets more comfortable again, and as he continues to work towards normalcy or whatever, the best he can. That's what I think is going to happen, and it won't be as much drain. You're right. I mean, I watched that game last year, and we did some of those things with the ball screens because that's what was needed then. But now we feel we have other people that can handle it. We can bring him off different ways, and I think you'll see some of that. If there's another one or two, I'll take it because I'm not going to have a round table just because I got so much work to do. But I don't want to.
Is that one of the things right now with this team, everything, the Cash and everybody else? How hard of a time are you having right now throwing new things like that?
Well, I think, how did you guys go to school over the week? You all asked pretty good questions today. I saw Harbaugh's press conference. Nobody asked him good questions. You guys asked good questions today. So, yeah, it is very hard, but it's very hard for three reasons. One, he's the leader at the quarterback and has, been in a different situation. And two is we're really younger than we think. We started putting our minutes that we have back. We put Kentucky and Dukes, and it used to be, we had 170 minutes back and they had 10. And now, it's amazing. The Josh thing and maybe even the Joey thing really changed that right now. So we're still those teams everybody expects to be a work in progress. Let me tell you, we're a work in progress yet. And when you think of, I look at Kentucky, and I guess from what I hear, Goodman doesn't think much of them or us because he thinks if you beat a team like that, it doesn't matter. But that's a very good team. Seton Hall is a very, very good team. And we played good ball against some good teams. It is hard for me to give you an evaluation because I can't, like Hondo said, I can't crawl into the minds of our other players, much less my best player. But it's been one of the more challenging and probably the most challenging first 7-8 games in my career, even that first year, for unfortunate reasons. But at the same time, some of it's been rewarding because I do think we're bonding together a little bit better. I think we've been through some things that most people will never go through, and we're still standing. And that's the first step in recovery. And so it is hard to put a lot of new stuff in. It's hard to spend a lot of extra time. The film sessions or after a practice, or do I see us mentally being drained quicker than other years? Yes, I do. But yesterday was a bright spot because if he can handle it and smile and move forward, I think the rest will follow. And yet, I expect to have a day like he told some of you in in Hawaii where there's going to come a time or a situation, maybe a birthday, maybe Christmas, who knows, where there's going to be some lulls, and I'm going to have to live through it. I think I've explained it as good as I can today. I probably won't go to it again, because I don't think it's fair for him. I don't think it's fair for my team, and pretty soon somebody's going to take it as an excuse. There are no excuses. We're 5-2. We played pretty good basketball. I think as big as that other factor, the Langford thing is the hardest thing I've had to adjust to, because he was such a staple and so stable and so good on both ends. That has been a hard thing to adjust to, but we're actually doing pretty good under everything that they've gone through, and I think we got a golden opportunity tomorrow to play against a very good team who's doing just like us, trying to find themselves.
There's so many good teams and anyone can win.
Or so many good teams, not very many great teams. Yeah, I do. I really do. I've seen, probably today there'll be another team that's going to be, has that been announced already, is Louisville?
Yep.
You know, you look at
Louisville is the
schedule they played and what they, everybody's got crosses to bear. Everybody's got question marks. Everybody's got things to try to deal with. And I don't think any of us know where anybody is right now. North Carolina and Michigan's playing real well the last 3 games. Kansas played better over there. I don't know who else. Gonzaga, everybody questioned. They struggled in a couple games. I think they're very good. Oregon struggled in a couple games. I think they're very good. Very good might be the key word. Great might be out of the equation right now. Might be. I haven't seen everybody. I haven't played against everybody. But I do think 7 will get blown out of the water. I really do. I just think that there's nobody that, and that's the good news and bad news. But the good news for us is I do think we have a chance to get a lot better. I really do, as we get some more experience and a little more stability to where we are and get it back to normal a little bit. When I looked at our schedule, the Hawaii thing does take a lot out of you. We tried to do the best we could to come back from that, but we're still dealing with some of the mental strain that we've gone through for the last 3 weeks, and that kind of compounds it. We're also trying to adjust to lineups that maybe we didn't think we'd have, a month ago. So a lot of adjustments this team is making, and within that, I think we've done an unbelievable job. Unbelievable. We have our moments when we have certain lineups in there that really we're not ready for it yet. Never did I think we'd have start almost 2 freshmen, this year, and Marcus starts some, and whether it be Thomas or whether it be Malik playing a lot. None of them have more than 5 minutes, 3 minutes of experience in a game, and of course Malik has none. So there's been a lot to deal with, and when you say that, those are excuses if you don't play good. But as I said, I don't really care about that anymore, because I'm speaking from facts and what we're dealing with, and those facts those are the reality. I think it's a little hard to get an understanding of where everybody is right now, period, because some people have played brutal schedules. Some people, I looked at the top 25 over the weekend, and I get printouts on each one of them, and some people have played nobody yet, and there's some halfway in between. So some people have had some adversity, some people haven't. I think the next couple of weeks, and for us, if you look ahead even a little bit, which I'm not doing, except that with the schedule, with 2 Big Ten games coming up in the next 3 games, this might be the most number in the first 11 games, where a lot of times teams are playing cupcakes. I think we're going to play 7 or 8 BCS schools in there, and that might be the most ever by one of my programs. I've seen some problems. There's still some problems that he's got to deal with, mostly strength and fatigue. But if you looked at Gabe and, or not Gabe, but Malik and Thomas Kithier, their numbers, if you look at their, maybe their field goal percentage, their free throw percentage, their rebounding per minute, their numbers are really good and been very efficient. But, you know, we'd like to get to the point where we get a little more stability so we know who we're going with a little longer. And some of that is going to take place. I mean, we think Thomas has really been affected by that face mask. If you watch him, no matter what he does, he's grabbing his face, you know. And I don't know when that mask comes off. Probably keep it on there so we don't have to deal with, I won't say it. Anyway, we're trying to make more progress in that. We're not where we need to be yet, but we're not going to be there for a couple of weeks, you know. If you know, back to Josh and Joey, we would be a lot more stable than we are now. But I do think we're making some progress.
There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about Cash losing his brother, and rightfully so, but I don't think there's been enough about the fact most of us who are around the team all knew Zach because he was always here. Is not just Cash losing a brother, but 14 other guys lost a great friend. Do you think that's been overlooked too, Tom?
You know, I do, and I said I watch so many press conferences. I watch everybody. I watch every football press conference I can watch. I tune into the Big Ten Network because they've got one after each game on both coaches, and I listen to everybody. I listen to some of the questions the media asks, and the one thing that everybody hates is when people make excuses. I mean, everybody hates that. You're down to your fifth offensive tackle, and nobody wants to hear about it. You lose a guy like Josh, nobody wants to hear about it. But I said last week, and I'm going to stick straight with this, what Cassius Winston has done under the circumstances is unbelievable. I mean, I'm not sure there's anybody in this room that could have done it. That definitely includes the head coach. But what the rest of our players have gone through, because, when you ride on a bus, when you fly in an airplane, those are like magical times for a team. Those are when you build camaraderie. When you're on the beach, the little we were on the beach. Those are what makes a group of people a team. But when you're in those situations and you can't laugh and joke and you're cognizant of what's going on, I couldn't explain to you how difficult that was. I'd be wasting my time. And you know what? As I kind of ripped all of us about the facts on one thing, the facts on the other is it's not going to change. So it doesn't do me any good to try to talk about it. But it is something I have to deal with on an everyday basis. And more important than me having to deal with it, they have to deal with it. Do you crack a joke in the locker room like all players do? Do you crack a joke to certain people like all players do? Do you rip on somebody because he made a bad play and maybe coaches, in a meeting would want to run that back, like, Cash, you threw it into the nickel seats, We don't run those back right now. We don't do those things right now. And so that adjustment, guys, has been difficult. Saying that, what I said to him, I will say to you and I say to my team, and I look in the mirror, and even though I don't like what I see all the time, I tell myself this: life moves on, and we have no choice but to deal with it. But everybody's told me that everybody deals with those things differently, and I know one thing. I believe this kid has dealt with it better than I have, because I've been kind of walking on skates and trying not to. Easier said than done. So the last thing I'm going to try to say about it is, you are right. It's hard for anybody to understand it. I'm on the inside, and it's hard for me to see it all the time. But I know this: when you're in a hotel, when you're eating together in a training table meal, when you're in the locker room, that's the time people rip on people. People kid people. People joke with people. That is non-existent and not of anybody's fault. It's just, it's coming back a little bit. He had a very good practice yesterday. Some of you were there for part of it. Truthfully, I saw something I haven't seen in 3 weeks. I saw a smile. And please don't take it that that's his fault. It's not his fault. It's the things we're dealing with, that we're going to deal with them. And we dealt with them pretty good. And by the way, some of the errant passes, turnovers, not guarding a guy that hits 7 threes, those don't all have factors to do with that. I mean, we all have to still do what we have to do. But what I think we got to get back to, and hopefully yesterday was a start, is you usually play like you practice. And we have to practice good to play good. And that's what we're going to try to do. I think Rocket has done a very good job considering, what he got thrown into too. As you say, he would have probably gotten not only learn on the run, but learn from a guy at the same position, and then maybe played a couple of the other positions because we didn't have to focus in on so much. So we've had to make him a little bit of the defensive stopper. We've had to make him learn a lot of different things offensively and defensively. And then he struggled with his shot early. I mean, he's still not where he needs to be, but he's definitely made some progress, over in Hawaii. And I think, what do we need? We need him to knock down the shots he can make. I need him to be a little more aggressive driving the ball. I think he's starting to shoot it really well from the line now. He got there a little bit more in Hawaii, made 80-some% of his free throws. Sometimes when you're struggling with your shot, you get to the free throw line, it gives you some confidence. But he's too has, he's going through a big change in a lot of ways, and Cash was the guy early that was helping him because he had a feel for Rocket, and that's been a little harder too. So where we need him to get is just continue to grow like we did Josh and everything. It's just that he was thrown into a position that, I don't think anybody thought would be there, and he's missing the tutelage that I think Josh would have been able to give him. I mean, he does it off the court, but he would have been able to do it on the court, meaning as he was playing. So, he's coming. He's coming.
Tom, with Draymond, I wonder, since you left, how valuable is his career been? When you talked to other guys about being patient, how can you kind of point to Draymond and say there's a guy that didn't happen for immediately, but he stuck around, he worked hard, and it did work out for him?
You know what? I think a lot of people use Draymond. I mean, I hear people, announcers, that say, remember, Draymond Green was a 4-year guy, Draymond Green did this and that. I was watching somebody the other day that, I think from Kentucky, played for Charlotte. Who am I thinking of? P.J. Washington. And everybody was questioning him. Hell, he's one of the best players on their team now because I think he's more ready to play. So I think a lot of coaches use Draymond not only for his toughness, not only for his basketball IQ, but the fact that, it's not when you get to the NBA, it's if you get to the NBA. And if you get there, are you ready to stay in the NBA? And I think that's what Draymond has proven and done such a great job of. So I use Draymond a lot. I use him with his defense, I use him with his rebounding, I use him with his toughness, I use him with his patience. I talked to him about where he was as a freshman, where he was as a sophomore, that it is not illegal to have a process in your life. It is, in most walks of life, it is normality to have that, but in basketball it's not, and some kids get torn apart that way. Draymond didn't.
I'm going to ask Cash just about playing Duke, and he was talking about that not being, you can't play the program, you can't play the Duke team that went back-to-back and all that. You kind of expect to hear that from a guy who's been through this. How difficult is it for especially younger players to get to that point in big games like this where they don't get caught up in playing Duke or whoever happens to be?
I think we play enough good people year in, year out but it's always new for the new people that come in, you know. Duke has deserved the reputation they've got. They've earned it. They've earned it. They've had a process. They've earned it over 40 years, I think it's been there, that Mike's done an incredible job, you know. We've earned some of that too. And yet, it's never looked at the same way when you're on the inside out. Now, a lot of people from the outside put us even higher than I do. So, you know, those guys are on the inside, and, you know, the advantage I think the Rockets have and the Aaron Henrys is when you do play AU ball, you play against all those same people. You know, we had Vernon Carey up here 2-3 times, you know. They know those people. They know Trey Jones, you know, we recruited him too. So I think because of that, it makes it a little easier, but there should be no play in the program. I mean, we got a hell of a program too, and yet I just talk about Duke being, you know, the kind of program that if I last here 40 years, that's what you build it to. You know, it's consistency, it's adjusting to a little bit of personnel, it's, you know, don't beat yourself. A lot of those things are what I talk about when I talk about Duke. When I talk about, you know, how their team is, I say, hey, we played, you know, Seton Halls, we played Kansas, you know, we played Georgia and UCLA. So I mean, it wasn't like that they should be sitting back wondering whether we belong. We belong. We just got to play good enough to win a game. But Xavier, I don't know what he's averaging right now. What is he, 12, 13?
12 and 10.
12 and 10. You know, I think he should be about 16 and 10, 16 and 11. And we think he can get there easy. We really do, because he, just in free throws alone, he'd probably be at 13. And if he makes some of those layups and gets that back, and there's some rebounds that we showed him he could get, he's got to get a little more aggressive. He's such a good cutout guy, but you got to cut out and then you got to go get. And so you hit, find, and fetch, as we say, and he's hitting, he's finding, but sometimes he isn't going and fetching it. You know, it's getting range rebounds that separates the him from the, like, Draymond's. You know, guys that can go over range and get them. And he's working on that, but the work ethic, the things he's doing, the pressure he's been under, you know, is another kind of unintended circumstance when your star is struggling a little bit because of what he's going through, then more weight is put on Xavier. So we're asking Xavier to do a lot of the things that we normally would ask Cash to do. And so I think all in all, he too has handled it pretty well.
Time for a couple more.
Knowing that Aaron is one player who has experience against Duke, playing against him in the tournament, how do you hope that he rises to the occasion when it comes to facing them again, similar to the way he did towards the end of the year against them?
Well, I think, you know, where Gabe has been, you know, our biggest, I think, most improved player, I mean, that's what Aaron's got to do now. Aaron's got to get that consistency that, you know, we saw it up and down part of last year, then we saw it get pretty solid, you know, the last 6, 7 games. And, you know, we've still been a little more up and down, but again, I think some of it is they're learning to play with different people too, you know. Kenny brought, and Cueto brought a calmness to this team, and always kind of, you can play off them a little bit. That isn't the same with Marcus and Rocket at times for him. So, you know, my biggest disappointment is he's got to rebound the ball better. I mean, he is an athlete, he has strength, he has a great body. He just his aggressive play, and when he gets aggressive, he's a better player. He's, I think, one of the best defensive players in our league. But he's shooting the ball well statistically, he's playing well in that area. I think it's just rebounding the ball. So do we need him to step up? In the situation we've been placed in with Josh's loss, and then the circumstances we've been under, it's very important that our big three are our big three. And we understand why Cash is going to be a little more up and down, but Xavier and Aaron have to be solid stabilizing factors that carry us for a while.